What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who is widely considered the number one pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Terence Bud Crawford, takes to social media to let it be known he is absolutely done with the conversation of possibly facing undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol Spence Jr., in which is being considered as the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It would be a unification bout. Terence Crawford takes to social media. He says he is absolutely done with any talk of Errol Spence Jr. after Errol Spence Jr. attended 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez fight with undefeated British superstar, super middleweight WBA world champion superstar boxer Caleb Smith tonight that took place in San Antonio, Texas. And obviously, they saw Errol Spence in attendance. And when they saw him in attendance, they interviewed Errol Spence to discuss the possibility of facing Terence Crawford. He was asked and stated that, I saw you on social media responding to a post that PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, put up. And they had a few fighters on there that you already defeated, and you responded to that by saying, "What is this? I'm not fighting any of these guys. Can we, can we move forward?" So on and such. And he stated that, "Can we just be, done with all these fighters and we just focus on you and Terence Crawford?" In which Errol Spence responded by saying, "Absolutely, we could focus on it." He stated, "But I could also focus on moving to 160 and fighting Canelo Alvarez should he get the victory tonight." He says, "We understand that." That was met with a response by saying, "We understand that, but you're always going to be measured by you and Terence Crawford until you fight Terence Crawford." And Errol Spence responded by saying that, yeah, that's understandable. That's a fight that definitely could happen in 2021. Al Heyman, his advisor and PBC founder, and Terence Crawford's promoter, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO, and promoter Bob Arum have to sit down and discuss this fight. He stated that, but Bob Arum has to stop. He said that Bob Arum has to quit lying and Bob Arum has to start telling the truth. He stated that, and then also, he said that he would have to take, he said that, and Terence Crawford would have to understand that I'm the big dog in this division. I'm the cash cow. And he stated that, he would have to understand that he's going to have to take, a 60-30, a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split, whatever we offer him. He stated, because I am indeed the big dog in this welterweight division. So I'm the one that's doing the big numbers. I'm the major player. I'm essentially, now I'm paraphrasing. He's saying I'm the major player in the division and we can make the fight happen. He said definitely a possibility to take place in 2021. With that said, obviously Terence Crawford heard the interview. He saw the interview, and Terence Crawford responded by saying, "See, quote, he said, see, y'all thought it was me. People keep saying it's me, but it's him. So I'm done with this. Chapter closed, case closed," right? So he says he's done with all the talking and the possibility of him facing Errol Spence Jr. But this is my thing, right? When it comes to that, and Terence Crawford continuously goes down this path instead of holding his promoter, Bob Arum, accountable or looking into actually negotiate and take the 60-40 split, because the numbers don't lie, okay? Errol Spence is doing the bigger numbers. We already know in the combined, when you combine Terence Crawford's 2 pay-per-views with Mir Khan and with Victor Postol, he did a combined 210,000 pay-per-view buys. Errol Spence is being reported in his last fight with Danny Garcia, he did over 300,000. His fight with Sean Porter, he did 325,000, and his fight with Mikey Garcia did 350,000. So it's no doubt that he is the biggest star as far as selling power, okay? And there's nothing wrong with taking a 60-40 split if you're Terence Crawford, okay? Because we saw guys like Floyd Mayweather, who was already a 4-division world champion, who was already a pay-per-view star, who was undefeated and a superstar and considered the pound-for-pound best fight in the world, he took a 70-30 split to a guy that had multiple losses on his resume in Oscar De La Hoya. We saw Bernard Hopkins take a 70-30 split with Oscar De La Hoya because at that time, Oscar De La Hoya was still a cash cow. The proof was in the pudding. It had nothing to do with the talent in the ring or how he was perceived outside of the ring as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Floyd Mayweather, the biggest star in all the sports, right? The highest paid star in all the sports, took a 70-30 split in favor of Oscar De La Hoya just to stage the fight and become the A-side, the clear A-side, and the cash cow moving forward since that fight. Oscar De La Hoya chose the ring size. Oscar De La Hoya chose the gloves. Oscar De La Hoya chose the location. Oscar De La Hoya chose the date. Everything in favor of Oscar De La Hoya. And Floyd Mayweather said, that's okay. I'll succumb to your demands because once I beat you, I'm going to be the cash cow. I'm going to be the superstar. Okay, so for Terence Crawford to take a 60-40 split in a clear case that he is clearly not the biggest star, right? Yes, talent-wise in the ring is equal. Outside the ring, the drawing power is not close, okay? So with that said, Terence Crawford is quick to do away with this situation with Errol Spence as he and Bob Arum continue to say it has to be a 50-50 split. But Terence Crawford is not quick to do away with the situation with him and 8-division legendary iconic superstar boxer who currently holds the WBA welterweight world title, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, who Bob Arum told Terence Crawford and the whole world that he himself blocked the fight between Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. And on top of it, Bob Arum stated that he's not willing to pay Manny Pacquiao the money that he's looking for. This has been ongoing, according to Terence Crawford, in his own words, since 2015. Not to mention, Bob Arum has been making mention of this possibility since 2014. So in 2021, we're going into 2021, we're going on 7 years since this has been talked about. And Terence Crawford, still to this day, YTD, is still saying that the fight that he's most interested in and his his number one priority is to fight Manny Pacquiao. You've been trying to get a fight with Manny Pacquiao for 7 years, and I haven't heard Terence Crawford utter the words that he's done negotiating or done trying to get the fight with Manny Pacquiao. So he's always quick to say that he's done trying to get a fight with Errol Spence Jr. because Errol Spence is looking for a 60-40 split. But he doesn't hold Bob Arum to the same standards when Bob Arum clearly denied him a legacy, massive payday fight that even his lawyer, Terence Crawford lawyer, contacted Top Rank CEOs, which made Bob Arum upset and told the world that, they weren't happy that Terence Crawford was yet to secure a big payday, a big money fight, and a lucrative legacy fight in his career, and that they were looking forward to becoming a free agent in October 2021, which Bob Arum was not happy with that being leaked out. And Bob Arum says that he's done negotiating with Terence Crawford because the last 3 fights prior to the Kell Brook fight, he lost so much money on Terence Crawford that he can build a mansion in Beverly Hills. So Terence Crawford responded to that by stating that, he don't believe it's Bob Arum's fault because Bob Arum truly is trying to make these big fights for Terence Crawford. But Bob Arum made it abundantly clear that he blocked the Manny Pacquiao fight. So I don't understand how Bob Arum is trying to make all the big fights when Bob Arum told the boxing world and Terence Crawford he blocked the Manny Pacquiao fight, and Terence Crawford to this day is still trying to land the Manny Pacquiao fight. With that said, Errol Spence didn't say much that deterred or stated that he didn't want the fight or he wasn't willing to negotiate the fight. He just simply said that Bob Arum needs to, stop lying, is what he said, negotiate, and Terence Crawford has to be willing to take a 60-40 split. That's an offer. That's not Errol Spence saying he don't want the fight. That's not Errol Spence saying that the fight can't happen. He said it definitely could happen. Al Haym and Bob Arum sit down. It could happen in 2021. So for Terence Crawford to jump to the conclusion and already state that, see, it's not me, so this fight, the chapter is closed. That just seems like Terence Crawford is, unwilling to negotiate with Errol Spence for what is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Terence Crawford is not being realistic as far as his pay-per-view. Now, listen, I'm going to say this. Terence Crawford is, who am I to tell Terence Crawford that he shouldn't stand on the square and demand what he feel like his worth is? But, the proof is in the pudding, and the way the sport of boxing is constructed, and this has been going on since the beginning of time, the bigger draw always call the shots. It's just that simple, okay? Mike Tyson called the shots. Floyd Mayweather called the shots after Oscar De La Hoya called the shots over Floyd Mayweather. It's just the way it goes in the sport of boxing, okay? The bigger draw. Sugar Ray Leonard was calling the shots when he was the man. Roy Jones Jr. was calling the shots. Nobody was demanding 50-50 splits with Roy Jones Jr. because he was the clear superstar. He was the clear A-side. He was the drawing power outside of the ring. Point blank and period. There's no other way to slice it. Errol Spence is doing the bigger numbers. He's selling out Cowboy Stadium twice, right? You hold the MGM Grand in Las Vegas holds a combined 17,000 fans. He did 16,000 fans in the pandemic at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, at the Cowboy Stadium. 16,000 fans. That's equivalent in a pandemic to packing out the MGM Grand. Okay, so that's a full house. Then he does, when there is no pandemic, with Mikey Garcia, he did over 50,000 fans in that very same stadium. Okay, so he's selling out these massive stadiums. His pay-per-view numbers speak for themselves. So Terence Crawford has to be understanding, has to, be realistic when it comes to these negotiations as far as Errol Spence's demands. He didn't work, and Errol Spence is fighting a higher level competition. Terence Crawford admitted that he has yet to get a big money, big legacy fight. He hasn't had that opponent on his resume. Errol Spence has fought 3 back-to-back Hall of Famers. Mikey Garcia is going to go in the Hall of Fame. Sean Porter is going to go in the Hall of Fame. Danny Garcia is going to go in the Hall of Fame. All of them are bigger stars than the likes of Arturo Gatti, who is a legend and a Hall of Famer. But their resumes, their legacies are much bigger, and they've been better fighters than Arturo Gatti. So they are all surefire Hall of Famers. This is who he fought back to back to back on pay-per-view and did successful pay-per-views. So you cannot deny his resume. But let's just listen to what Errol Spence had to say and see if Errol Spence said something that was that leads you to believe he didn't want to fight with Terence Bud Crawford. Okay, let's just listen to what Errol Spence had to say regarding the situation with him and Terence Crawford. Okay.
Take a real test and show everybody that I am the same guy after the car accident. Now I follow you on social media, like a lot of people do, and there was a graphic that was thrown up recently of all the top welterweights, and you commented like, "Look, what are we doing here? I beat several of the guys on this graphic. Can we be done with everybody else but Terence Crawford? Can we just do Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford?" I mean, that could happen. We got to see how it goes. But, like I said, I can move up to 160 and fight another average. Look, I want to get to that. But there's always going to be questions until you and Crawford fight. How optimistic, if at all, are you that you can get Crawford in 2021? I think it could happen. I mean, just for, Al and the Bob to sit down and, for Bob to start lying. So, we'll see. But I think it definitely could happen next year. They just got to sit down and talk and, go over numbers and things like that. But it definitely could happen. But like I said, I'm the big dog at the welterweight division. And he gotta take a back seat and take that 60-40 or 70-30, whatever we give him. But you talked about the limit.
So you heard what he said, right? He said that he has to understand that I'm the big dog in the division. He's going to have to accept the 60-40 or 70-30, whatever we decide to offer him, because I'm the big dog in the division. Point blank and period. He didn't say that it can't happen. He didn't say that he wasn't willing to negotiate. He wasn't willing to make the fight. Said it was available. So I don't understand why Terence Crawford is so quick to do away with the fight. But let's see how this plays out. Maybe this is part of Terence Crawford's negotiation tactics with Top Rank and Bob Arum because he knows he's going to become a free agent in October 2021. Let's see how it plays out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.